Every morning, the countdown begins for the markets with meticulous research and analysis designed to help you capitalize on the trading day. Beaming live from the CNBC TV18 Motilal Oswal studio.
Good morning. You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Bazaar Morning Call. We are coming to you live from the CNBC TV18 Motilal Oswal studios. Tuesday morning. I'm Prashant. With me, my colleagues Nigel and Survi. Guys, good morning.
Hi, morning.
Hi, morning, folks. A bit of a same old story playing out, right? We get to all-time highs, then the momentum fizzles. And this morning, we're waking up to slightly red-looking global screens. Red, the color of the season, Nigel.
Well, that's right. A color of the season, but not the color that the bulls would like to see, right? But let's see how it goes. However, as you said, at higher levels, we are facing some bit of resistance, which is making you a little bit nervous. More action, I think, in the money market, the Indian rupee. I think that's going to be the key tracking point for today. But Prashant, let's kickstart with the action.
No, absolutely. And I think, U.S. markets, first fall in, I think, 6 odd days, 6 trading sessions now. The market's basically gone up. And finally today, we had a bit of a sell-off, which we saw. So S&P down about 0.5, Nasdaq down about 0.3 odd % or so. If you look for reasons why the market was down the way it was, I mean, you wouldn't find too much, except the fact that there was a steep decline as far as Bitcoin is concerned. Now, Bitcoin fell 7%. I think it broke $85,000 on the downside. And it's the largest daily fall since March. I've always said this, Bitcoin, use it as a risk tool or sentiment indicator. So it's you can trade. The highest correlation of Bitcoin is to non-profitable technology companies in the U.S., not the Magnificent Seven, but the non-profitable tech. So it's a very speculative asset class, and when it goes down, it kind of tells you that risk sentiment is shrinking a little bit. It's not expanding. When it's expanding, you're trying to do more and more things, and you're sort of going into more and more speculative areas of the market. So keep an eye out on this one. Now, the 10-year yield in the U.S. was up 8 basis points. We're past 4%. Again, no real big specific driver, except the fact that maybe, Black Friday sales were strong, and perhaps at the margin they were seen as a bit of a contributor. Technology and AI deals continue. NVIDIA has bought a $2 billion stake in chip design software maker Synopsys. That's the latest. Stock was up about 1.5% last night. So that's essentially the summation of U.S. Later today, there's not too much data, economic or otherwise, so it's going to be quieter on that front. The Russia-Ukraine thing, right, that's the other big global story which is going on. And I saw this Bloomberg headline which said that Ukrainian President Zelensky has praised a new iteration of a peace plan, of a U.S. brokered peace plan. So he's, of course, been sounding more and more constructive that perhaps something will get done. But you have EU, which is split right in between. I mean, if this deal goes through with Russia retaining whatever land it's already taken of Ukraine, I mean, basically it's going to split Europe right down the middle. Those who, of course, oppose Russia, those who say, well, let's move on. And those who move on include powerful countries and, of course, the biggest country, which is Germany. EU's top diplomat essentially expressed reservations about a U.S. brokered peace deal. And she said, well, if this goes through, it's going to essentially raise the ambitions of quote-unquote warmongering by Russia. So that's the global front, but I think this is important to keep in mind, especially from an oil price perspective. Rupee has fallen, and I think one of the reasons why the market made an all-time high above 26,300 yesterday and then sold off promptly was, of course, the fact that the currency turned sour very quickly. So we hit 89.80 and we finally closed at 89.54 up on your screen. So there was a big recovery, which of course happened from the lows. But at 89.80, you were pretty close to that 90 levels, which some believe, of course, are now pretty inevitable. You're going to basically trade above it sooner rather than later. Now, the levels, Nifty, of course, the high yesterday is 26,326. Both Nifty Bank in uncharted territory. So you basically just, in a way, trail those highs in reverse, not use them as stops, but basically become the target. Support is the 20-day, which is 25,910. For the Nifty Bank, we set a record at 60,114. It was a big red candle. After that, support stands at the 20-day, which is 58,700. It was very, very quiet yesterday, with, of course, some shooting stars here and there. But a mix of a combination of, a currency which was weak and general lack of enthusiasm because broader markets have not done well, and I think kept the indices well contained as well. What's the F&O stats after yesterday looking like? What's the positioning looking like? Nigel has walked across to the wall. Nigel, over to you.
Well, the Nifty seems to be in a bit of a range, but I'll tell you what, a big amount of attention today will be on the money markets because the Indian rupee, the way it's been slipping, that's making traders a little bit nervous. And besides that, today we have the Nifty weekly expired that will play out as well. So it adds a little bit of spice to the trading session, particularly at the final 60 minutes. What happened yesterday in terms of flows? The FIs were sellers, not very, very large, but 1,200 crores or thereabouts. The DIs, they were net buyers. So net, you had an institutional buy number. The FIs on index futures, not too much movement, mild movement on the longs as well as the short side. The country remained net short with close to around 81% of the positioning on the short side. Yesterday, you saw calls were getting written again very, very aggressively. So the number of calls that were written in comparison to the number of puts was close to around 5 calls for every 1 puts. That's from the FIs on the index options. And that perfectly ties in with the options data that we saw, right? The PCR, remember a few trading sessions ago, had got dancing away to around a 1.5. Now it's cooled off to around 0.88. Remember, at around 0.65 to 0.7 is when we see the PCR forming some sort of a basing out. So currently at around 0.88, it's still got some distance to go. And the reason that the PCR has come down is because the call writers have been aggressive. 26,200 call, 26,300 call. Out there, close to around 1.8 crore shares have got written out there. And on the downside, the bulls are not throwing in the towel as yet. 26,150. That's the important mark, in terms of put writing. Now, you punch in these levels and you'll see then the last few trading sessions, 26,300, 26,350, that seems to be a bit of a resistance mark. So the bulls will have to fight their way past this mark because that level has got rejected. On the downside, though, the 26,000 mark is very important, going by the kind of options data that we have. And deeper down there, 100 points deeper, is around the 25,900, which is the 20 DMA. So that's the important range you'll want to defend. The Nifty Bank has been leading the way, and you have, the 20 DMA, that's deep. That's close to around 700-800 points away from current levels. In terms of stocks that I'm looking at, well, the dollar index has shown some weakness, and we know that we've had a bit of a melt up on, metals. Particularly, aluminium has been showing some strength. Silver has been doing very, very well, and that's why I'll keep an eye out on Vedanta because it has a stake in Hindustan Zinc. So both these two stocks will be on your radar. Aluminium play could be Vedanta, and in terms of silver move, Hindustan Zinc is a stock that should be kept on your radar.
Okay, all right. So indeed, those metal stocks have been hitting all the headlines, and we'll keep them on the radar today as well. Asian markets, by the way, are in sync with the weak handover that we got from Wall Street. So there's a fair amount of red on the screen, a lot of caution out there. And the Bitcoin continues to be a big talking point with crypto selling off yesterday. So let's watch for this. Mainland Chinese markets, the data has been very weak. Even the PMI numbers that came out yesterday, there's some buying that is evident right now, but a lot of the larger markets are still weak. Let's look at the implied open to get a sense of where things could start for us, what the GIFT Nifty is indicating. So not too much on the downside, 14 points lower. So let's see if the bulls manage to prevail at lower levels once again. Let's move on then to the equity call of the morning, and it's coming in from Sayan Mukherjee of Nomura, who says that they are likely to end 2025 on a much sanguine note. He says the economic and technological landscape remains unsettled amidst unprecedented moves by governments, policymakers, central banks and tech companies. The new macro equilibrium and the path to it are still uncertain. For India equities, he also says that a calmer world, cyclical economic and earnings growth recovery, favorable policy moves to support growth and structural issues, and a moderation in relative valuations give them comfort. They have set a Nifty target of 29,300 for the end of 2026. Okay, so that's a Nomura view coming in, 29,300 by the end of next calendar year.